No, what? Hey, happy Thursday afternoon to you, Victoria Taft, your adult in the room. And here we are. We are talking about the issues today. We've got lots going on. I mean, not just the Fauci stuff from Wednesday. Was it really that? Was it just yesterday? Oh my gosh. I listened to every jot and tittle. That's why I can tell you with assurance that after watching the Fauci hearing and then watching what the news did with it, you are going to see stuff you haven't seen before, in all likelihood. I mean, unless you watched it yourself and you went, oh, really? Really, just crazy stuff. So, yeah. Oh, the haters are already in, so I think I'm going to need some friendlies to come in and engage because I can't necessarily engage over live, the live feed. So there you have it. It never ends, does it? It just never ends. Oh, the left's coming for your sheriff. That's right. No, seriously. The left is coming for your county sheriff. Plus Sharia in Texas. And Fauci revelations. It's all coming up on the Adult in the Room podcast live stream for a Thursday. Housekeeping notes. I will be posting next week. However, I will not be doing live streams. I will be doing live streams the following week and ad infinitum. However, because I have to be out of town for certain things, I will only be posting certain videos. And I have a couple of good ones planned. But hey, the only way you're going to know that is if you actually push the notification button. So please push the notification button. Subscribe to the family here, Victoria Taft's Adult in the Room podcast. I do have radio duties next Thursday, so that's where I'll be. I'm going to Seattle again. They like me over there, and you physically have to be in there because, COVID. Long story. Long tail on that kite. First, the organized left with George Soros leading and whoever the latest iteration is now conducting a raid on the nation's sheriffs. The folks who are, these are the people that are hired by the voters. And the first whiff I got of it was, of course, I do the West Coast, Mest Coast weekly column for PJ Media. And I keep an ear on all three states. And it's not easy, by the way. You have to pick and choose wisely. But I generally like to see if there's some connection between how the left is ruling each of those states. And you know what? I found a connection about sheriffs. But first I saw, and this is interesting, because for whatever reason, I pick and choose things from the speakers a lot of times at Hillsdale. And I saw Seamus Bruner. Seamus Bruner is with the Government Accountability Institute. This is the organization that told you how certain kinds of ways in which we allow people into this country or disallow people in this country is being used and weaponized by people. So that's one thing. But the other thing is that Seamus has also been on the program talking about funding for these organizations. And it was in this speech, I thought, I'll listen to Seamus. Maybe I'll get in touch with him. I'd love to have him back on, and that'd be great. And he's at Hillsdale, and he says, in reply to questions after his prepared remarks, he says this.
I talked about it with Director Kent of the DNI, National Counterterrorism Center. They were very interested in that because this feels militarized. If you look at what's happening in Twin Cities, and most normal people don't know how to set up stop and frisk checkpoints and doxing license plates and demanding papers. Ironically, they call everyone on the right Nazis. They're the ones demanding everyone's papers to see that there's no connection to ICE. And so that, I would say, is probably first and foremost on the agenda for the FBI, is finding out who is giving this militarized training. I think we've identified many of the groups. I think the foreign connections are very unsettling. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Then there's another there's another question.
Soros is always kind of the face of everything, but as I mentioned, the Election Inc. part of this ecosystem, the Arabella funding network, $300 million in the last several cycles, state, federal, local elections, DAs. I would say watch your sheriff's elections, sheriff's races. They're starting to pour money into the sheriff's races, which is a big concern. Obviously, you want a patriotic sheriff, not a radical left sheriff. So that there's enormous amounts of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars coming from the Soros types, the Arabella Tides types into the local elections.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Seamus Bruner. And so, yes, this is true. We have people who are attempting to take over sheriff's offices and to install more oversight where oversight already exists. And so I did a little sleuthing, tried to get Seamus back on because I wanted him to come on and talk with the sheriff that we have on the program today, who I have not named him yet. And the reason I haven't named him is because I want to have him be able to tell the story without a bunch of trolls coming on the channel at the moment. But now here is one of the things that I wanted you to see. It is from The Intercept. Progressive groups rally around candidates for sheriff seeking to reform police cooperation with ICE. Okay. Now, this is all part and parcel. You think that sounds like a good thing until you really realize what's actually going on. And it is this situation. Let me just make sure I can find the doggone thing. Why am I not finding this? Figures. I got this. Yeah, okay. Sorry, guys. It's one of those things. After a number of reform-minded prosecutors were elected across the country in recent years, progressive organizers are looking to translate that energy into a new electoral movement, reshaping the influential law enforcement position of county sheriff. In two of the nation's wealthiest counties, both located in Virginia and in a Louisiana parish, a coalition of progressive groups is rallying behind candidates for sheriff whose campaigns are focused specifically on reforming the way the sheriff's offices cooperate with immigration officials. But this ain't about immigration necessarily. Sure, it has overtones of that. And generally speaking, that's something that gets the left motivated and exercised. But this has more to do with... I would wager it has more to do with the opening that Soros took, George Soros, years and years ago. And whoever it is, Arabella, which is now renamed something else, and I meant to look up what the new name is, but maybe somebody can look it up for me and put it in the comments. That'd be great. But with George Soros leading, he spent billions of dollars to elect leftist secretaries of state. Remember that one? That was years ago. So they could control election law and install election law and tweak election law. And then they went after the attorneys general offices in each state so they could keep those laws in place, rewrite new ones, and decide who was going to be prosecuted. Would it be right-wingers or left-wingers? Let's not think too hard about that, or you've just... failed the IQ test. So anyway, then they went after district attorneys, which we saw come into full flower in 2020. And those DAs made themselves known. In Portland, Oregon, one of the scenes of the worst of the Antifa violence. Nearly all of those people who stormed the streets, did acts of vandalism, went after police officers, wasted our time, defaced statues, and watched as someone was murdered on the street. That's right, we had an assassination in Portland. And if you choose not to make somebody pay for some wrongdoing, what happens? That's correct. That which is rewarded is repeated. And what happened was we got over a year in Portland unrest, riotous behavior. You didn't always see it, But, for one time, the cops did something kind of fun. They put out a timeline of all of the Antifa violence and riots. Every time they called a riot, that's what they did. They put it on their timeline, and I happen to have one. So these things have happened because the left has induced these changes by political pressure and money from billionaires. Billionaires like Neville Roy Singham. You've got millionaires who keep pumping money into Arabella funds, and what they do is, and we've talked about it, they provide the superstructure, and they allow grantings and all kinds of trickle-down expenditures to go to the frontline people who are determining whether or not they want to, what they want their risk to be. And now they're coming after the sheriffs. In Washington State, just recently, the supermajority in the legislature passed a law, and the governor signed it into effect, which would put county sheriffs in service to an oversight board, which, oh, well, that's fair-minded, sure. Oh, no. They could take a duly elected sheriff and boot him out for not hewing to this committee's standards. And what are those standards? Anything they want. Do they have to know anything about sheriffs, the job of sheriff? Oh, no. No, they don't. In fact, they have people with lived experiences who'd probably serve on that kind of committee, like former prisoners. And so it is, the left is now beginning the enabling, the eventual, the granular, the A plus B equals C to take over county sheriffs. And just a reminder, what do county sheriffs do? Well, the biggest thing that we see they do is they grant concealed gun license permits. That's just one of them. You may be in a shall issue state like California, but for a long, long time, if you lived in San Diego County, you could not get a permit to carry on your body. Of course, Bruin decision tossed that out. But, if you've got somebody in there who doesn't like what you do, then you've got a problem. And so it is that I invited Sheriff Keith Swank of Pierce County, Washington. I know people who live in Pierce County. And I've looked at your timeline on your you're hilarious. If you are of personal or particular persuasion politically, for me, you're hilarious. Other people might be, pretend, transmogrified by it, but whatever. How are you?
I'm very good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you wore headphones. This is awesome. You're not at the office, I can see, because unless that's behind your desk.
Yeah, this is my office. This is how it looks. It's very patriotic. No, I'm at my house.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to get in trouble. I'm putting some of the comments on the issue. Who's Sheriff Grady? Do you know Sheriff Grady?
He's a sheriff that's in Florida. Speaks out all the time. Yes.
I know that guy. I know that guy. I do. Well, I think I've given a faithful representation of what has happened at the sort of expanse of time and what's happened to go after now sheriffs. They've gone after secretaries of state, attorneys general. They've gone after DAs. And now they get their woke police guys, and then they do what Seattle does. They just appoint a sheriff, which is outrageous. And now they're going after you.
Right, yeah. The state's going after sheriffs like me, but then also we have an issue going on in our county where this year on the ballot will be the opportunity for people to vote to return the sheriff to an appointed position from an elected position. And the left, who is supporting this, says we need to do that to save democracy. And they follow that up with no kings, right? Yeah, so that's what we're fighting with right now. And the ballot statement is deceiving, so we're taking that to court right now. This initiative in Pierce County, it's an amendment to the charter. We're a charter county, and I don't want to bore everybody about that, but it's a mini constitution. On the ballot this year, the people will be voting on whether to return the sheriff, me, to an appointed position, but also it will remove the sheriff, me, from office on January 1st, 2027, which is only halfway through my term. I was elected in 2024, took office in 25, January 1st, and it's a 4-year term. They would be removing me 2 years early without having to do a recall process. That's how dirty these people are.
Wow.
Wow. Yes.
Who's doing that against you?
Probably people who are backed by George Soros. Just people on the radical left who they don't like me. I mean, you've seen some of my posts on X. They don't like free speech. They don't like that I say transgender women are men because I'm saying the truth. They want to fight against that all the time. You see what's going on with that all the time. They also don't like when I refer to normal people. Boy, they hate that term normal, right? But I make sure I say it all the time, and I'm not allowing them to interfere with my free speech or anybody else's free speech. That's what I'm doing. I'm standing up for people. And I'm giving people in Pierce County on the conservative side a voice for the first time ever. They've been so scared to be able to say anything, to push back against this woke speech, and they tell you how you have to recognize 15 or 20 more pronouns and all this stuff and address people by that. I'm not doing it. I'm speaking English, the regular English, the normal English.
So how'd you get elected anyway?
Do you want to hear the story?
Yes.
I'll tell you the story real quick. I am a retired Seattle police captain. I worked there for 33 years. I've run in politics in Pierce County before. I was a Republican before, but this is a nonpartisan position. But anyhow, I ran for office before, and I had people ask me to run for sheriff, and I told them I didn't want to do it. Then on August 31st, 2023, when I was sitting in my hot tub looking up the stars, telling God, thank you for getting me through my retirement. And now, even if I die, my wife will have a pension. He said, son, you have not been listening. You are to run for sheriff. So I jumped out of the hot tub. I ran upstairs, told my wife what he said. And she said, you better, or you end up in the belly of a whale. So I filed for office within a week. And then I won. Now, the left didn't think I'd win. They made fun of me all the time and said, God told him to run, But when I won the election, because who knows why God told me to run, right? But when I won the election, on the front page of the Tacoma News Tribune, it said, God told him to run for sheriff, and now he'll be your next Pierce County sheriff. And so it was pretty cool. And I'm the first person ever elected sheriff from outside the sheriff's office in the history of Pierce County. Another neat thing is Pierce County is the 60th largest county in America. We're almost 1 million people. It's larger than a congressional district. So I'm the most conservative person elected in the state of Washington in 40 years, in decades, right? Because of the size there and everything too. So it's a big deal. I have a big support, and so the left is really mad about it because I'm actually causing change to happen in this county.
In what respect?
Giving people the, courage is contagious. People are listening to what I'm doing, and they're coming out and saying things too. They're talking up on social media and on Facebook, and they're saying things that they were afraid to say. I have people all the time get a hold of me and say, thank you. I've been scared to say stuff at work, and now I'm doing it. Nothing rude, but just standing up for the right things, right? American values, and not what the left tells you that they are, and that you have to abide by their rules, right? I'm for freedom of speech, whether you agree with me or not. And as you know, Victoria, the First Amendment's for speech that we don't agree with. That's what it's all about. It's not for nice speech. It's for rude speech and mean speech, right?
Yeah. Do you have a lot of riots there?
No, we don't have a lot of riots, thankfully, in Pierce County.
Not
There's
now.
a lot of riots in Seattle, and I did hundreds of those throughout my career. But Pierce County, not so much.
When you were they probably know that they might be arrested and put in jail under your sheriff's hood.
Yeah, they would be.
So when you were working in Seattle, that was 2020. That was just a nightmare, right? I mean, when you had the park that was taken over, I mean, all kinds of things. And talk to me a little bit about that dynamic, if you would, because it's important for people to know where you've come from and now what you're doing and how you're leading.
Yes, well, I was a captain at the Seattle Police Department during the scamdemic, and and before that we had the Summer of Love there, right? We had
Oh,
the
yeah.
Summer of Love and all of that. Was that
Yeah.
during, yeah, scamdemic and everything was going on then?
Oh, sure. And that
And
was when we were told that it was
yeah,
perfectly appropriate and healthful to riot on behalf of Black Lives Matter during the pandemic. I
yeah,
mean,
right, exactly. So you could riot during the scamdemic and do all of that stuff. And I was a captain. I oversaw the SWAT team, the arson bomb squad, the harbor patrol. I had these specialty units there, and we knew, the SWAT team knew, that we could clear that place out in no time, but we weren't allowed to do it. And people sometimes say to me like, "Hey, why didn't you just do it?" And this is my response. Keith Swank, was personally fine with doing it. I was old enough to retire. I could retire, but I had people who still had to make their mortgage payments, raise their kids, and if you disobey a lawful order, whether you agree with it or not, you could be fired, right? Termination. So I was ready for it to do it, and I was out there at nighttime watching these rioters and saying we need to do something about it. And then finally, I don't know what day it was, day 18 or 20 or whatever, when they finally had the political courage to do it. They gave
mm,
us the opportunity to do it, and within about 5:30 in the morning, we went up there to the chop zone, and we cleared that out in 10 minutes time. Because when they saw the men show up in gear that showed they meant business, they left like the cowards they are, and we could have cleaned that up a long time before that. It was an
wow.
embarrassment to me. It was happening on Capitol Hill at the precinct that I cut my teeth in my first 15 years in. They nailed doors shut, tried to set it on fire to kill cops, and they're
Yes, they
alive.
did.
And
I
we
remember
didn't
that.
do anything about it. It was very, very embarrassing. And you can just see what's going on right now with this shooting they just had at the Seattle Center, and the
Hmm.
buffoonery is going on with that command staff there. So, yeah, it used to be a great place to be, but towards the end it got bad. And one last thing I want to tell you, Victoria, and your listeners, that they made getting the jab a condition of employment. Like, if you don't get it, you're going to be fired. So I didn't get it, so I retired.
Oh, that's what happened because you're not that old. So,
Well,
I
I'm old
mean,
enough to retire, and I was old enough to retire, but
I probably started when you were 10. So
that's
I get
right.
it.
Thank you. But yeah, so they did that against everybody and said you have to get this jab, which we found out how deadly it is to many people throughout the country now. To even Fauci got a blood clot from it, right? So
Yeah.
anyhow, yeah, that was that was going on there, and it was terrible.
Looks like that police chief is going to be thrown out, the current one.
Yeah, a year ago I put on X, I believe I said he'll be fired within a year because he was not going to cut it. I didn't know this would be the thing, of course, but yeah, he's a DEI hire, he has no credentials. I mean, just people putting him in place over the years because he checked the boxes and everything. He's an embarrassment to that agency,
Wow.
but that's what they've been doing a lot lately, though.
I mean, they haven't been able to keep a cop or a top cop for more than a year and a half to 2 year period. I think the Carmen Best was the longest serving recently, right?
Well, yeah, I think Kathy O'Toole was there longer than her, but yeah, she was there for like 3 years or something like that, which is still pretty lame. The police chief that I came under, Fitzsimons was his name. He was there 15 or 20 years.
Wow.
It was fine, but yeah, you know, administrations change. You have to be more woke and all of that, and look what it gets you.
Chaos.
Chaos.
Absolute
Yes.
chaos. I mean, I don't even know what happened. That shooting. Can I just tell you a theory? I've read next to nothing about it, and I should because I have to be on the Seattle Red next Thursday. So I'll be doing radio next Thursday for Jason Rants, and so I better get my learn on. But I was thinking about it today, and I thought, you know, you've got the 15-year-old. Sorry, everybody, I'm just going to punch out for just a second on this. 15-year-old, 19-year-old, and then you've got somebody missing, right? And you've got multiple people dead, and do you think that was a gang initiation instead of a gang shootout, per se?
It very well could be. I don't know enough about it. It could be initiation or a gang shootout, but a 15-year-old suspect there, a 19-year-old. They could have had a beef with each other, or it could just be. But see, they all had guns, so I would say it was they got rolling in there with the guns. That's the bite of Seattle. Years ago, it was free, but we had so much gang just fights going on in there in the 90s that we made people
Oh,
pay. We made people pay to go in there, and then gangsters didn't want to pay $20 to come in and shoot somebody. They want to shoot them for free, right? So they didn't pay, and it kept the riffraff out. I don't know if they had free admittance this time or not, but I'd be suspicious that they did, and that's why people were in there, because if you make them pay, it keeps the riffraff out.
huh. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's like a cover charge. I mean, that's
Yes,
what it
right,
is.
exactly. Yeah.
Somebody wants to know, Jordan, one of guys been listening since I've been in Portland radio and on and on. I'm here now, Victoria. Please ask Keith Swank if he participated. This is not a gotcha question, by the way. In any of Chris Ann Hall's teaching sessions. She's a constitutional attorney, helped with both Bundy incidents in whenever, 2023, 25.
Yes, I have been to her trainings.
Oh, interesting. What were they? I mean, I have no idea.
She's from Florida, but she comes out to various states to talk about constitutional sheriffs and what constitutional sheriffs do and
Yeah,
whatnot.
that's another issue. Are they afraid that you're going to be so aligned with that aspect, that mindset, that that the woke people in Washington State want to get rid of you for that reason alone?
Yes, I think so. I think, and I tell them all the time, I'm not a member of the Constitutional Sheriffs Association, CSPOA or whatever it is. I'm not a member of it because there's some stuff that goes on there and some statements that's made there that seem radical. And also, people tell me all the time about what you can do as a sheriff, and then I ask them, well, how do you exactly do that? And they just say, well, just do it. And that's not how this works. The real world doesn't work that way. Like someone says, you have the most authority there. You can hold, people accountable. You can put them in jail and have trials. And I go, oh, so I mean, the sheriff, I just call them into my office and have a trial and say you're guilty. Then I throw them in jail. I mean,
Oh
like,
yeah, I can
that's
see
not
why
how
you'd want to
that
be.
works, right?
Yeah, that would not
So
work.
I have to tell people about this. Like, yes, I'm the chief law enforcement officer of the county, but it doesn't mean that I'm the judge and the jury of people there. Nor would anybody want to have that unless you want a king there in charge,
Uh
right?
huh.
So that's not
Yeah.
how this works. But
So
I've been there training.
So now the left is now using funds from all manner of organizations, the billionaire class, and I mean by that, I mean not necessarily American billionaires either. There's a guy over in Europe as well. And so this is starting, it's being seeded, this effort to wipe out independent judges, or I mean, sorry, excuse me, independent sheriffs. And there's a group, Sheriff Accountability Action. This is a national organization devoted to curbing harms from sheriff's offices and supports elections, county commissioner oversight, and organizing as levers for change. Are you familiar with that organization? Does that make any?
No, no, I'm not. But it sounds like any of the other radical ones there, right? I mean, here they want to make the sheriff an appointed position, and in addition to that, to have an ombuds over that to investigate the sheriff's office too. Like
Of course.
if they're appointed and they're under control of the executive, that's not enough. No, it's not enough. We still have to make sure they're not corrupt, but not the
I
other elected officials, though, right?
in King County, I imagine, as well as Multnomah County, there's for the cop shop anyway. There are three, if not more, levels of citizen oversight of those institutions, as well as ethics boards, as well as all kinds of things. Is that something that do you have that as a sheriff? I mean, do you have some? Do you have to answer to a citizens group or an organization that watches what you guys do and calls you to account?
Well, we have the Criminal Justice Training Commission that oversees all law enforcement, and it's run by a group of radicals also. And
Uh,
then just in the sheriff's office itself, we have internal affairs, and so we do investigations on our own people. And oftentimes people like to try to say things like, oh, well, you probably cover it up or this or that. And we don't. Actually, we do a better investigation than what civilians do, and we hold our people more accountable too. But we have that, those sort of things, and then the attorney general's office can investigate things. So there's all kinds of and EEOC, equal opportunity commissions. There's all
sure.
kinds of oversight for sheriff's office, law enforcement in general. Yes.
Okay, so this is happening, this sort of effort to put the sheriff, local sheriff, in every place in America. This is going to happen. And right now, it's in L.A., Riverside County, because of Chad Bianco. San Francisco, they passed additional oversight. San Mateo County, California. Prince William County in Virginia. Loudoun County, Virginia. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, East Baton Rouge, North Carolina, and in Arizona. Of course, they didn't like the sheriff, Joe Arpaio, who's the Maricopa County sheriff for a long time, the guy who made prisoners sleep in tents and wear pink underwear and eat green bologna. So, and I was all for that guy.
Sure.
Because, for obvious reasons, because I just don't think criminals ought to be treated with kid gloves. Just crazy me. So, in this particular case of the law passed. Well, I was just going to go over here. Thank you for doing that. Here we have a letter from Chelan County Sheriff, and the Chelan County Sheriff talks about the most concerning provision of the granting, I guess, the law passed, and it's now in dispute in the courts, is that it grants unelected state board the authority to remove duly elected sheriffs from office. This represents a fundamental shift of power away from voters towards centralized authority, sort of pretty much on a mass scale what they're doing to you in Pierce County, or Washington, I guess. The office of sheriff belongs to the people of each county, not the legislature. These concerns are shared by the Washington State Sheriff's Association and the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs, both of which oppose this legislation. This is the third consecutive year this legislation has been introduced to modernize the office of sheriff. This is not an organic effort. This is a from the top down effort. Yeah?
Yes, this was passed by the state legislature. It's Senate Bill 5974. And if you haven't seen my speech in front of the Senate, you should make sure you get it and play it sometime, because I brought big attention to this. That speech got probably 1 million views. They never had anybody stand up so firm to them. And then they tried to get me removed from office because they said I spoke in a threatening manner, which is great. Show them that stuff. But anyhow, that is different than what's going on in Pierce County. Pierce County's added to it. But this is a legislation passed from the Democrats, who have super majorities, as you know, in Olympia, that says they can remove from sheriffs from office for various things. But one of the things they can remove sheriffs from office for is speech. Hate speech, and they define hate speech. So let me tell you some hate speech. Transgender women are men. That's hate speech. They filed a complaint with the CJTC people have about things that I've said, and they want to have me removed from office. And I'm looking forward to that fight to be able to challenge that to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary about my rights for freedom of speech. But the other thing too is, according with that one, if they say that I'm removed from office, I'm not leaving. And I told them that I won't be leaving. And thousands of people in Pierce County will surround the county city building where my office is, and not allow that to happen because they voted for me. You can't remove me because of some speech. But it's held up in court right now, and it will probably be ruled unconstitutional, But then it'll go to the state Supreme Court, and they might say, no, it's fine. Then we'll be back with this unelected bureaucratic board handpicked by the governor to say what hate speech is, remove sheriffs from office. Everything else is like criminal based, but this thing about the speech and whatnot is what's really bad.
What are your biggest fears about this effort to defang, or if you will, the sheriffs and provide oversight by radicals, generally speaking?
Well, first off, I'm not worried about it myself because I'm not scared about this. I don't need to have this position. I have it because I'm trying to do what's right for the people. And if I were to get removed from office, then so be it. But in the meantime, I'm going to fight firmly for it. So I'm not really worried about it, but I'm worried about this office of sheriff for future sheriffs, for the people coming in behind me that
Sure.
need to be there for their 20 or 30 years, and will they be able to run the office the way they need to, way they need to do it, or will they have to do it the way the politicians tell them to do it, which is what politicians want to do. So I'm standing up for that right, for people to do that. And it's giving courage to other sheriffs across the state also to stand up and do the right thing. And so I think we all need to unite, stand together. Chiefs of police aren't cut from the same cloth because they're appointed. They have somebody that tells them what to do. But the people elected me. If they don't like me, they don't need to vote for me next time, right? Or run somebody against me. But while I'm here, I'm going to stand up for and do what I believe is the right thing all the time for all the people here. And I'm going to defend their constitutional rights, especially First Amendment, Second Amendment rights that have been taken away from us here in the state of Washington.
In what respect have they been taken away?
Well, if you speak out against the left, you get canceled. Your businesses get canceled. If you support the police, with your windows smashed out of your business, you'll have people that won't do business with you anymore. Second Amendment, they passed bans on semi-automatic rifles and magazine bans over 10 rounds, which has been already said is constitutional by the U.S. Supreme Court. They don't care. They just pass them anywhere. And this sheriff, Keith Swank, Pierce County, will not be enforcing any unconstitutional laws in our county at all. And if people want to buy magazines and buy semi-automatic rifles, I'm not stepping in their way because it's constitutional.
I think that's one of the reasons. Do you think that's not the chief reason why they want to have more oversight on sheriffs? Because you're the guys who issue the permits for guns.
Well, we issue permits for the guns, but so do other municipalities. So they have control of that too. So I don't really know if that's the case. What I really think is the case is, the left, they don't want people to have to go to jail. Some of them don't want any jails at all. In Pierce County, they don't hold juveniles in jail anymore. We have 11 juveniles in our juvenile hall, and they're all in there because they are convicted of murder or committed a murder and awaiting trial. Everybody else that's a juvenile has been released. That means rapists. If they shoot you and you don't die, armed robbers, everything, every other crime, they're released with an ankle bracelet that they can easily cut off and go out and commit more crimes. And so that's the problem what's going on here. And the people on the radical left, they don't want other people, adults, to be put in jail. First, they try to say your brain's not formed till you're 26. Then they try to say this justice system is racist, all of this stuff. And so that's what we're up against, and what we're fighting against is just normal thinking. Like, hey, bad people are out there and we need to put them in jail.
So that's it. It's another way to so-called, if you will, defund the police. They just corral you in and make you
defund, defang, yeah. And and then the other thing, working with ICE is a big deal here too, right? So I would work with ICE. I have no problem doing that at all, but I can't jeopardize my deputies because the Attorney General, Nick, I like to call him Nick Brownstein, Nick Brown, he's a bully. He'll go after everybody individually and sue them. And so when he sues these young deputies who have a family in a house, what's going to happen? They're going to lose their job, lose their livelihood. So we can't do anything with ICE out here because of that. And that's a bully law that was passed by Olympia.
Really? When was that passed? I'd be interested. Just as
2019.
So you can go after criminally and civilly a sheriff's deputy for doing something on the job. I mean, it's forget any type of ability to
It's not criminal, it's civil. It's called Keep Washington Working Act, which means Keep Illegal Aliens in Our Community Act is what it really is.
Okay.
So if you work with ICE or you do anything to do with immigration, check immigration at all, then you can be sued civilly, and that's what the Attorney General would do. He would sue deputies or officers, whatever, civilly, individually, and it could bankrupt them. So I can't risk their livelihood there.
I wonder if that's even legal to do that.
It doesn't matter if it's legal here in Washington State. They just taking your Second Amendment rights away is not legal. But policing your speech isn't legal, but they do it anyhow. So that's what we're dealing with here.
I cannot believe how leftist this place has become, because I mean, I went to the U, I mean, back in the day, a long time ago, and it would seem normal to me, you know.
Yeah, I
But
went to the U also. Look, I could, you know, you don't have enough time in your podcast or your day for me to tell you all the lawfare that's going on here in this state, and sometimes, and with me in particular, just in my county.
mhm.
Like if I disagree with the prosecuting attorney, they're giving me bad advice. I can't get a second opinion. I'm not allowed to have an attorney of my own choosing, even if I pay for him. I mean, is that the most un-American thing you ever heard of? But
Yeah,
there's
I think that's
so
a
many
Sixth
things
Amendment
going on.
violation.
I'm not allowed to have an attorney of my own choosing. Even
That's
if the attorney would work for me for free, and I'm in a lawsuit going on about that for me trying to hire somebody, and it's working its way to the state Supreme Court right now. This place is upside down. And I'm trying to bring that to the attention of people, right or left. Like, hey, if the Republicans were in charge doing this, I'd be calling them out. But it's the Democrats, and they've had control of this state for 40 years, and they are completely power hungry. And we need to stand up against that.
I cannot believe the it's insatiable. And you just like,
Yes.
why do they keep doing this? And it's really nothing more than we just want to do things our way, and we'd like to be in charge. Thank you very much. It has absolutely nothing to do with the norms of society and the things that we can all agree upon, that social contract, whatever that is, and whatever is right and wrong. It doesn't matter. It's what we want.
Right.
Well, gee, Sheriff, thank you. I appreciate you coming on. That's
You're welcome. Thank you.
frightening. That's frightening. What's the next thing? I mean, or correction, I tell you what, first thing, how do people get in touch with you?
Well, the best thing to do is follow me on X, and my handle is at Save Our Sheriff. And so follow me on X so you can see the truth about what's going on, and I can fill you in on that. I also have a website. It's keithforsheriff.com, so it's pretty simple, keithforsheriff.com. And I'm going to start before too long getting a little a podcast going. I'll be talking on that. I'll let everybody know about that when I get it going.
Good.
Like right here, you can see the background. That's part of my studio, and we're getting together and everything too, and trying to figure out how to do all of that. So that's what I'll be doing, and then I have community events. If you're in Pierce County, go to Pierce County Sheriff website, and you can see where I have community events. I go out. I actually go out and meet with the community, speak with them, and take their questions. I don't ask them to write their questions in ahead of time. I just take them as they come, and all of that. I'm open and transparent about everything. So that's how you get a hold of me. Follow me on that. And then I also have a Keith Swank Sheriff Facebook page that we got back up and running too, so that you can pay attention to what's going on there, and you hear the truth about things if you follow me, especially on X. And I might even crack you up once in a while on X too. You might go, "Oh my gosh, he really just said
Oh no,
that."
he's funny.
Yeah.
You are
So,
funny. You are absolutely funny.
yeah.
The other thing is that what's the next deadline for you, legal or otherwise?
Well, the next deadline right now is we are trying to raise money to pay an attorney. We have to raise $7,500 to pay attorneys to challenge this concise, quote unquote, concise statement for the ballot title. And so we're filing papers on that also. And if you were interested in, you want to contribute to that, you can get a hold of me at Keith
Mm-hmm.
at keithforsheriff.com, or you can DM me on X if you have it there, and then I'll just tell you who to get in contact with. I'm not doing it through any campaign issue like that at all. We're just gathering up money and having people pay money to the attorney group itself to help out with this cause, because there was a 10-day turnaround. I went to get everything done, and you had to raise $7,500 in 10 days' time. It makes it really, really tough. And the statement's been written in a biased way, and so we're challenging it and going to get the point across to people about what really happens if you vote yes on this ballot measure.
Okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Godspeed.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Keith Swank, he's Pierce County, Washington Sheriff. Yet another physical person who's a sheriff whom the left is trying to get out. They disagree with him. And therefore he must go. And that's all part and parcel Yeah, first of all, they don't like them. And then the overarching thing is there is an effort getting to be nationwide. I'm telling you about this now because it's happening to Sheriff Swank and it's happening in San Francisco. And not that you'd expect the sheriff necessarily to disagree with whatever falderall this is, but LA County, Riverside, San Francisco, San Mateo, Prince William County, Virginia, Loudoun County, Virginia, North Carolina, Arizona, and East Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It's happening. It absolutely is happening. And it's frightening. You start, dictating from above. Like in Seattle, this happened a while ago, not too awfully long, but a while ago, where they decided, hey, we think that the sheriff should be appointed just like the police chief is. Well, you see what a disaster he was talking about with respect to the Seattle police chief. I mean, they can't hold on to anybody because they're just not good enough. They've tried every conceivable population subgroup that is DEI affiliated, and they can't get the job done. Why? Well, they got a damn commie in the mayor's office, and then they've got a bunch of other people, the woke people, who are the Antifa folks, and whatever iteration that comes, who will bring violence. They always do. He's talking about you're one of those. Oh, okay. Yes, I am. You mean, am I somebody who doesn't like to be violently attacked? Why, yes, I am. As a matter of fact, I am. But this is one of the things I want you to hang in there and listen up here. Is that a Q or an OU 812-34? I'm sure that was a randomly assigned deal. I want to tell you something about free speech, as the sheriff was talking about. And there's a fundamental misunderstanding about what free speech is and what it covers, what the Constitution covers. And I brought this up multitudinous amount of times, but I think you should know. Free speech, anything you say is not protected. If you incite violence, if you incite others to violence, that's not protected free speech. Did you know that cities and counties and states can impose time, place, and manner restrictions on when you can exercise your free speech rights? Yes, this is true. So for example, you shouldn't be able to screech all night long outside the ICE facility in Portland, Oregon, and expect that, and people won't complain who are in all the apartment buildings nearby. They can't get a good night's sleep. So what happened in Portland was, and this is the cockeyed version of what this free speech misinformation is, they had noise ordinances in Portland, and they just blew them off. People in those places, that they live in the places around the ICE headquarters. And what happened for years now, literally years now, and Antifa's out there making noise all night long, blasting their voices, music, etc. There's dancers and all kinds of craziness, and there's violence. And so what happened? The city of Portland and the police chief both came and testified for Antifa in a lawsuit against the city of Portland. Now that's crazy, because they could, if they wished, they wouldn't even have to do anything fancy. They could just announce, hey, by the way, there will be no screeching at after 10. We're done with that. And you'll be handled according to the law after that. If you can insist on breaking the law, we'll assume you really mean to break the law, and we'll take you in. We'll make you, pay, if you will. And see, that's actually the ability to, the correct way to support free speech, giving other people the right to not be screeched at. It's interesting, and it was something the left really doesn't like to admit. This is very interesting. Have you seen the movie about Don't Sharia My Texas? It's called the Alamo, and I just want to make sure I get it. Remember the Alamo. What was I thinking? Remember the Alamo. Don't Sharia My Texas. Have you heard about this? There's a new movie out. It's a documentary, actually. Chris Burgard is the director. Welcome back to the Adult in the Room podcast. Thank you very much for being here today. I messed up, and you were supposed to be on Tuesday, and I just went.
That's all right. I'm just blessed to be here, Victoria. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Shall we watch your trailer? Would that be okay with you? Or would you like to just chit-chat about the movie and why you're doing it? How about if we do that? How about if we actually find out why you made this documentary and how people can see it?
How much time do we have, Vic? How long is the segment?
You have as long as you want.
Well, let's watch the trailer first. Give folks a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Good idea. Thank you, man.
Okay, here we go. Go.
فأجمعوا أمركم وشركاءكم ثم لا يكن أمركم عليكم غمة.
This American man must pay the price for America's failure to surrender to the Islamic State and submit to the will of Allah. The death of this kafir will soon be repeated 300 million times over. The caliphate will destroy the great Satan. We will urinate on your constitution, and soon you shall have Sharia in your White House.
Damn it, Mohammed!
Sorry.
This is an insult to Allah!
I spilled my juice.
I'll spill your blood, you son of a Hollywood whore!
On Sharia My Texas.
There's something about Texas and how God has blessed it, and God has blessed the people of Texas. When I see God connecting all of us the way that he is, I go, man, he's raising an army.
Mark, if we want to stay here, we must talk to America about Sharia.
Nobody in the government, civilian government, DOD, Intel, knew anything about Sharia.
We are 5 days away from fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
Did you find that the Biden administration's DHS had a formal vetting process in place?
The department did not have a formal process at the start of the OAW.
That's astounding.
My wife got confronted at 9:30 at a grocery store parking lot by a guy saying,
Alex
you
Jones.
should not be on the street. You're going to be raped.
People get excited and the rape is done. Who's to blame? It is illegal to blame.
Under his system, he's allowed to rape any woman that's unattended.
My cousin was 13 or 14, Jeanette. She woke up naked in a house, lots of bearded Muslims raping her.
Oh, jeez.
There's no such thing as a Muslim country where children are not trafficked.
What you have right there is a clash of civilizations, not a clash of religions, a clash of civilizations.
Good point.
Is Islam a religion?
It's a civilization, not a religion.
What about the Muslim Brotherhood? What about Hezbollah? What about Hamas? What ties the entire global movement together is Sharia. The stated purpose of Islam is to wage jihad.
They don't apologize about jihad. They're not afraid of jihad. It's a part of who we are.
Since 2020, there's been over 500 Catholic churches that have been assaulted. You don't hear about the Christian churches that have been attacked. If a mosque was attacked, they would be crucified.
If you build a mosque in the middle of nowhere, you're going to get Islamists. And Muslims come. These imams or clerics are openly calling for the takeover of this country, the Islamization of this country.
This is the correct religion, and we will not stop until it enters every home.
Imam says to me in the interview that the United Kingdom will be a Muslim country within 20 years.
I stood outside a mosque in Manchester, and when I stood there, within a 2-mile radius, I found that 16 people had gone to fight for ISIS.
And you see areas like Paris or London, whose culture is being absolutely eroded.
You have a lot of people from the Muslim Brotherhood that have infiltrated all areas of our intelligence community, of our legal community and into the government.
Why would you put a knife to your own throat?
Good
Army Major
question.
Nadal Hassan was convicted of killing 13 people and wounding 32 others.
The state with the most jihadi attacks in the United States, Texas.
We are in a battle not just for the future of Texas or the future of the United States of America. Texas is on the front lines in the battle for nothing less than the future of Western civilization.
Don't be deceived and don't be afraid.
You have Texas politicians believing in whatever keeps them elected. If Texas falls, the rest of the United States falls.
Don't mess with Texas.
Shepherds aren't weak, and I'm not weak, and I'm not going to let anyone come in here and hurt this flock.
America starts in Texas. This is another Alamo. This time, we're going to win.
The battle for Texas begins now.
Remember the Alamo? Don't Sharia My Texas is the name of the documentary, and Chris Burgard is the one who directed it, and we've had him on before about his other projects. And wow, that is so impactful. I watched it earlier today too, and I was seeing things the second time around that, oh yeah, wow. We've heard horror stories about what's going on.
Part of the movie?
I'm sorry?
What was your favorite part of the movie?
Oh, I haven't seen the movie yet. No, I haven't. I'm going to. No, I know. I apologize, but I haven't.
No. But we should do this again after you see it, because I think after you all see the movie, you're going to have so many questions, and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh! Oh wow! I didn't know." So.
Yeah. Crap! So that means I can't ask those questions then, huh? We have.
You do whatever you want. It's your show, Victoria.
I know. But, you're always so nice to me anyway. You're delightful. But what did get you started into looking into this issue? What was it that just put you over the edge?
So great question. I've been fighting against the Muslim Brotherhood for 19 years. And I thought we were done. It started 19 years ago, West Texas. I worked the border on and off for 2 decades. And Sinaloa cartel was running jihadis through West Texas, through Husband County. And my friend has this ranch in the middle of nowhere, and his wife was there with the special needs daughter when they came through there and scared her, so she reported it to law enforcement. Cartel came back, went to her sister in Chihuahua on the other side of the Rio Grande and said, "You tell your sister to shut up, we're going to take her head off, take it back to Mexico." So we staged there for 2.5 days with 5 different law enforcement agencies, protect that family. And that got me introduced to a task force out of the Department of Defense. It was put together by Rich Higgins and led by a guy named John Guandolo, former Special Forces, FBI counterterrorism expert. And through that task force, I ran into jihadis again a few years later in South Texas. We went against a guy named Maher Thut, who was trying to undermine the churches. And then about 11 years ago, CARE tried to bully their way into my daughter's school and force Sharia law on the school district. And we believe that their plan was they were going to get precedent from this little cowboy town so they could use an LA Unified, which is 500,000 kids.
Uh-huh.
But what they didn't count on is it's cowboy town, and it's full of cops and firemen and stunt guys and veterans, a lot of veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And the head of the school board was my buddy Ed, whose family escaped Iran. So he'd already been through this once before. So what we did is, using what I had learned with the Allied Special Intelligence Group training, we peacefully spoke to the town council, rallied the churches, went to the school board meeting, laid out who the Muslim Brotherhood is, how their stated mission is to take down the United States of America from the inside, and how we believe the CARE acts as the press arm, the propaganda arm.
Absolutely.
And then we explained what Sharia is, and it's not just telling our kids they couldn't draw Muhammad, they were telling the kids they couldn't draw any of the prophets from the Quran, which includes Jesus Christ. So you're going to come into our little cowboy town and tell us that our kids can't draw Jesus at Christmas? No, that doesn't work. So 5-0, the first time I'd ever seen it, the school board came together, liberals and conservatives, and they kicked Sharia out of the school district. And CARE came back and threatened lawfare, said they were going to sue him. And the school stood firm and said, "Bring it on. We've been saving money for this. We'll do it." So that was a victory. So I thought I was done with all this. I thought we won. It's over. And then here we are at our ranch in East Texas, and they built 24 new mosques in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in the last 24 months. And
what?
Yes, and they're pushing into East Texas. But now they've run into a problem because where I live, East Texas, the most political question someone's going to ask you is, what church do you go to? Not do you go to church, but what church do you go to?
Uh-huh.
We already have, we've had folks that worship the Islamic way. They've been out here for 40, 50 years. They've got a place where they pray on Friday nights. But all of a sudden, somebody comes in and they buy 8.5 acres in a subdivision overlooking one of the oldest Baptist churches in the county, and they turn the house into a mosque, and they want to start raising all this money to build an Islamic center. And as Malik, my buddy from that's been here for 50 years, goes, Chris, I don't know why they're doing this. I talked to them, and he's like, if we had 80 Muslim families, okay, I could see, but we don't have that big of a community, and we're fine with what we have. And I said, well, how many families do we have? And he goes, in 2 counties, maybe 6, maybe 7. So it's just a perfect example of what's been happening in Texas and across the country, but specifically here in Texas, is you build the mosque and you claim the 3 miles perimeter around it, and then you bring the folks in to do that. And that has been going on now for really hard the last 10 years, but a little bit the last 15 years.
Oh, you're talking about just Texas, because it's been happening in Michigan and Maine and all sorts of other places for a lot of years. And it's civilizational jihad. It's right out of the CARE playbook.
Well,
that's what they're doing.
It even predates CARE. You're so on this, Victoria. You're so on it. It's called Hijra. There's 2 words I'd like your audience to know, 2 Arabic words. Hijra means immigration jihad, just like you just said. Okay, and that comes from the goal of every Muslim is to emulate the life of the Prophet Muhammad. To them, he was the perfect Muslim. So when he and his
marry 9-year-olds, or was she 6?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
No, you're all over this.
I've been watching for a while.
So for 14 years, Muhammad peacefully tries to preach in Mecca about this new religion that he's been given these visions. And his uncle Abu, who's the head of Mecca, has been protecting him. His uncle dies. The city's pretty mad. They kick him and his 130 followers out of Mecca. So they immigrate to Medina, where he starts working tribe against tribe, getting his people into positions of power. And by the time he dies, he's the supreme warlord of all Arabia. That's immigration jihad. So what you're seeing happen in Europe, what you're seeing happen in Texas, and like you said, Maine, Tennessee, Wyoming, all these other places, that is by design. That is Hijra. Now, one of the tools you use when you're doing Hijra is something called taqiyya. And taqiyya means that you can lie and deceive to further jihad. So if you understand those 3 things, you understand what we're facing in Texas.
So I can recall, boy, this is after this is one of the reasons why it just drives me nuts as far as people just go El Sayed in Michigan, I think it is. He's running for office, wants to be a senator, and you just, oh well, it's no big deal. Bernie Sanders, oh, it's no big deal. They're coming for him first, for crying out loud. But nevertheless, it's because you've got the guy who was a aide de camp to the blind sheik. I mean, people don't understand who these folks are. And I don't want to slight anyone, but I can slight somebody who gave aid and comfort to a terrorist who tried to bring down the World Trade Center towers. I can do that if it's the person who's related or an uncle to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. This is an existential problem for the United States. And this is why, going to look at, in fact, I was just looking up to see if I had the photo of the organizational chart for the Muslim Brotherhood to find out, this is their own sort of, it's the Rosetta Stone of the civilizational jihad against the United States. And it came from that Holy Land lawsuit years ago Feds find it. Andy McCarthy, I think, was helping to work that case, or at least
right. So for your audience to understand, when Victoria's talking about the Hamas Holy Land Foundation trial, that was here in Dallas, and it was the largest victory against terrorism in the courts that we'd ever had. It ends in 2008. Obama gets in office, and they not only found the original people that were charged guilty, but they discovered these networks, and they had a whole list of unindicted co-conspirators they were about to arrest next, including the founder and the director of the Council on American-Islamic Relations. Obama gets into office, brings in Eric Holder, and what they do is the investigations cease, the indictments never go out, and then he takes some of those same people and puts them in power in the federal government as advisors and executives and directors, and that's how you fundamentally transform the United States of America. You know, this could not be done without influences with the invasion that's coming in from Israel, but also infiltration at the highest levels of our government. You know, pretend you're born in Somalia and you live your life in one of the hottest countries on the planet. I know I want to go to America where I can live in the coldest city that they have in America, up in the Great White North, and be around a bunch of Vikings. You think that was their intent, or were they put there so they could socially re-engineer that entire voting bloc and that culture?
Here's I think this is the one, the Muslim Brotherhood organization in the U.S. This isn't the original. The original one that we saw was, you can't even read it online, but nevertheless, Saudi Arabia with their Wahhabist viewpoints. In fact, it kind of still blows my mind that they want to do business with us whatsoever. Hamas, of course, and Islam. These are things that we, MSA, you've got Muslim student associations at a lot of campuses.
Yep.
And they, IAP, that's another one. CARE, what else is here? A bunch of others. I mean, they actually gave themselves up in that trial. We found out what their aim was,
and then nothing was done. I mean, this is the question everybody should be asking themselves. And look, I don't hate anybody. I don't want to see any violence come out of this. I had a young Muslim ranger, Abdi, saved my life 23 years ago in Kenya. I would do anything for Abdi. Abdi is not in Texas forcing halal food, the meat from tortured animals, into public schools. He's not in East Texas telling my daughter she needs to be covered up or she's going to be raped. He's not in Dallas killing his two daughters when his daughters date two non-Muslim boys that are considered kafir. Okay, so what we're standing against is Sharia law and the Muslim Brotherhood. Like I said, I've been standing against the Muslim Brotherhood for 19 years. And here's the question that needs to be answered and hasn't been. The Muslim Brotherhood, they passed in 1991 their mission to destroy America from within. It became public knowledge in 2008, as you said, during the Hamas Holy Land Foundation trial. Why has nothing been done to stop them? Nobody stopped them.
Well, you know, Laura Logan in your movie talks about it. It's not Islam or Islamism is not a religion. It's a way of life.
It's a civilization. It's a civilization with a political system in it that has its own set of rules for governing every moment of every day of every Muslim's life. It hasn't changed since 632 AD, and that law is Sharia. And the big lie they're saying now, which is practicing taqiyya, is that, oh, no, Sharia is like canon law, like what the Catholics have. No, it isn't. Canon law doesn't kill two young girls in Dallas for dating, their high school classmates, okay? What we're dealing with here is not only a clash of civilizations, it's an attempt to overthrow the United States from within. And you cannot have two sets of legal systems working in the same civilization. So
and it is a legal system.
Yes. So therefore, any politician, any law enforcement officer, any military, former or current military person that's taken the oath to defend the Constitution needs to stand against Sharia, or they're in violation of their oath.
Yeah. That's true. People got to, it's the old, the Constitution is not a suicide pact. And they'll say that Islam is a religion, but I think we can demonstrate that it's not per se a religion. What's the difference between an Islamist and a, rank and file Muslim?
Islamist is a word that was brought in the lexicon to make people feel less racist and try to give themselves cover when they're speaking out against Islam and they don't want to seem like they're a bigot.
Oh, I didn't realize I was using that. I always thought Islamism was the practice of Islam, a very
that would make you a Muslim.
Unreformed.
That would make you a Muslim. So here's the deal. There's no such thing as an Islamist, and there's no such thing as a radical Islam. There's just Islam.
But not everyone like, for example, we hear often the idea that their jihad can be a peaceful thing. It's not, you can do jihad in ways that don't affect other people, but not for radical Islamists. So I'm using all the buzzwords. I might be using.
So let's break that down. Let's break that down.
Okay.
So most people think of jihad, they think of AK-47s or swords, because the 14 years that Muhammad was in Mecca, he only got 130 followers, and some of those were people he had to buy out of slavery. Yet within 10 years of getting to Mecca and using Hijra and using the sword, he conquers all of Arabia. And then 10 years after his death, they've conquered Syria, they've conquered Palestine, they've conquered all of northern Africa, because then they've gone violent. So people know that in their brain, okay, that's jihad. What they don't understand is that when you force through the school board or through the town councils or the city's county supervisors, when you force halal food into the public schools on those kids, that's a form of jihad. When you have a whole bunch of military-age men blocking the streets of Houston, Dallas, Austin, Dearborn, Minneapolis, New York, that's not because there isn't room to pray in the mosque. That is also jihad. And those images are going out to the entire Islamic world saying we dominate, that we own this space. When you have local councils that get rid of their noise ordinances so that you can put the call to prayer out as far as that's jihad. That is claiming that space. And for everything hears that. Do you see how this works?
Yes, I do.
When you go into a pool and you say, we need 4 hours a day for our women to swim in their burqas.
Yes.
Otherwise we're offended.
That happened in Portland.
So now, and here's how you put it in historical reference. If you know history, okay, Europe stopped Islam at the gates of Vienna, okay, and it was an incredible battle in history. You had King Juan Sobieski come down, the Winged Hussars, and they routed the enemy, and that sent them all back. The Ottoman Empire was kaput for that. But what's happened since then is through Hijra, immigration jihad, Vienna is now 10% Muslim. Muhammad is one of the most popular, it's the number one name in England. It's one of the most popular names in Sweden, in France, Belgium, in Austria for young babies. So what they couldn't accomplish by the sword, they've been able to accomplish through immigration jihad. And so what happens in America, because all religions are welcome here, and because we have the First Amendment, we feel bad commenting against somebody else's religion. We don't want we don't want to be anti-American. But that's because of the deception that Islam is not a religion, it's a civilization. And when you understand that, then it's like, oh, okay, I shouldn't feel bad by saying I want this. I shouldn't feel bad saying that the 189 men that died at the Alamo died defending a church, not a mosque. That's who we are. That's our history. Now remember, we lost the Alamo. But what the Alamo did was it gave General Houston 46 days to train and gather up the army. And at the Battle of San Jacinto, we won in 18 minutes. Okay? That's where we are now. The Muslim Brotherhood thinks they've already won in Michigan, and they really have. In Michigan, in Minnesota, in Tennessee, and they think that they're almost done winning in Texas. But what they haven't counted on is the DNA in our blood down here. They haven't counted on the character of Texas, the rugged individualism, and the fact that we were a country, a republic, before we became a state. And if we don't do something, Texas is on the road to becoming an Islamic state, and you will see violence. By standing up now and doing something and just following the laws that we have on the books, standing up for the Constitution, we can peacefully send Sharia back.
I'm watching the movie. watching the movie. Jordan says Christianity and our Constitution are antithetical to Muslim Sharia law. Islam is a theocratic religion that controls every aspect of human life. This is a cultural evil.
Correct. And why is it when you watch the movie? I tried to go speak to the leaders that were trying to build the Islamic Center in our community, and they hung up on me. We had 5 emails back and forth with Epic Center. You may have heard of those guys, Epic Center, the guys that want to build the city.
Is that going through?
So where it is now is Paxton got it shut down, but then a liberal judge came in and overturned that. And what you'll see in the movie is you'll see Yasir Qadi, who is a top operative that they brought in to Plano from Tennessee after they won there, pushing the Muslim Brotherhood's agenda. He's laughing. He's like, they think they can stop us. No, we just call our lobbyists. And look, it's good to go again because their experience has been that America and Texas is for sale. And so far, it's been working for them. But that ends now. They just did a hit piece on me last week for making this film. They call out the big guns. Went to the head of CARE, a guy named Ghani in Houston. They went to George Washington University and got a political science professor to say that I'm a dangerous extremist and that this dangerous movie should not be watched. I mean, it was a big hit piece. I'm going, why did they call out all the big guns for a movie that's not even in the theaters yet? They must be pretty darn concerned, and they have a right to be concerned because when the truth comes out, people don't stand for it. And we've already beaten the Muslim Brotherhood once before. We know how to do it. We will win Texas, and we will free the United States of America. The Muslim Brotherhood has been winning because no one stood up to fight them. Well, that ends now. That's why we made this movie. And we will wake up all of Texas and all of America.
Here's one of the hit pieces that we saw. I just came across this. Anti-Muslim film by Texas right-wingers seizes on San Antonio's Alamo as a central symbol. And, of course, you're just castigated. Dramatized execution scene opens the trailer. Oh, that was a funny scene, by the way. I mean, as it was intended.
The reason that scene is in there, Victoria, that's a true story. So we went to make that skit. It was awesome. It was so funny. You'll see the whole skit in the movie. But the day before, the lead actor, professional actor, great guy out of Hollywood, he quit because his family was too worried he would be killed for making fun of Islam.
Oh, wow.
I put that in the movie because imagine that. In the United States of America, a professional actor is afraid to be killed for doing a comedy skit. What kind of religion is that? What set of rules would designate something like that? And so then we go from there into who was Muhammad. And, there's been a lot of pushback and people have died for wanting to draw Muhammad. We actually took it a couple steps further. We took the entire Surah, which is the biography of Muhammad written by his contemporaries. We condensed it down to a 7-minute cartoon in the style of South Park. But you watch that 7-minute cartoon and you pretty much learn exactly who Muhammad was. And that gives you the context because in Islam, it's not like Christianity. Christianity, you read the Bible, Old, New Testament, you understand Christianity. In Islam, the Quran is only 14% of it. So people are like, oh, you read the Quran, you know who we are. No, it's only 14%.
It's the Hadith.
You have to read the Hadiths and you have to read the Surah. And I tell everybody, read the Surah first because you have to have context for the Quran. So you have to understand who Muhammad was. Was he a warlord? Yes. Was he a slaver? Yes. Did he own slaves? Yes. Did he, and here's to your earlier point, did he marry a 6-year-old girl? Yes. His favorite wife, Aisha, he married her when she was 6 years old, but he promised her father, Abu Bakr, that he would not have relations with her until she was older. Well, he waited 3 years till she was 9 years old, and then he consummated the marriage. And she was his favorite wife. She was 19 years old when he died.
God, I hope she spit on his grave. Probably not. Who knows? Charlie Hebdo, the French publication, and there was a mass shooting at Charlie Hebdo, and that was what started with. I think that was before they went after South Park.
It before they went after South Park, because South Park wanted to address that. Matt Stone and Trey Parker, those guys are awesome. They're great. They're really
Yeah.
great. You know, they just call truth. They call up their own religion, Mormonism. You know, they hold people accountable. What you'll see in the movie is first you're going to see what happened to Theo Van Gogh. He was a filmmaker that
Oh,
dared
yes.
to fight Islam. He was shot. He was stabbed. His throat was cut as he begged for his life. And then they had a 5-page manifesto stuck through his rib cage with a knife. Charlie Hebdo was 12 people were murdered at Charlie Hebdo. It was a cartoon publication. And then here in Plano, you had 2 operatives were killed when they came to attack the Dra Muhammad contest. It was a First Amendment freedom of speech.
Right.
Now that's
Oh, yeah.
that's right here in the Dallas area. So what you see in the movie, when you see this little town of Acton Agua Dulce standing up to the Muslim Brotherhood and care, they did that only 4 months after the Plano shooting. So this is, you're seeing regular Americans get together and do extraordinary things, because it comes down to the First Amendment. If you don't have the First Amendment, you don't have the United States of America. You don't
Right. Well, that's absolutely true. That's true. It is, yeah. So there's got to be a balance. I'm not sure. I just don't. I don't know why you would go out of your way to allow a bunch of folks from Muslim majority countries into this country, because they don't want to understand. They don't want to be among us. They want to be segregated among their own people, and it's generally speaking just to take and not give back. I would say I'm so tired, frankly.
Let me answer your question. Here's how I understand how to do it, because you have to understand it's not just about Islam. It's about the red-green axis. It's
Absolutely.
The Islamists working together. And there's look at 1979 Iran.
Yes.
Remember, it was the students, the left-wing students that attacked Nancy.
Yeah.
And you had this coalition of Marxist, left-wingers, students working with the Muslims and the fundamentalists to take over the country. Well, what did they do when they got into power? They imprisoned and killed all their Marxist buddies. The same thing Hitler did on the Night of the Long Nights when he got rid of the brown shirts. And you'll see there's a little cartoon we had that's been so censored. It should have tens of millions of views. We made it for the ending credits. It's like a Disney cartoon, and it's a little 9-year-old blonde cowgirl going around, and she's saving women from burqas. She's saving an amazing Muslim woman who's about to be stoned to death. She saves a gay guy that a mom pushes off the roof, and she catches him on her pony. I mean, all this stuff. San Antonio Express went crazy over that. They said how racist it was, this and that. If they would have really told the truth about the cartoon, at the end of it, because the chorus is just go home, don't Sharia My Texas. And at the end, you have these guys that the Longhorns are pushing down the dock onto a boat as the boat goes away. But they're not pushing Muslims away. They're pushing the jihadists. They're pushing the guys that tried to kill a gay guy. They're pushing out the people that wanted to stone a woman for wanting to be a businesswoman. They're pushing out the guy that is kissing and marrying a 6-year-old girl. And that, by the way, child marriages are happening in the United States and happening in Texas.
I know we have Sharia courts too, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely they do. Absolutely they do. And the reason that you have these child marriages is because who's the perfect Muslim? Muhammad. We're supposed to emulate him. He married a 6-year-old, so we can marry a 6-year-old. And those Sharia courts that they already have going, around the country, you'll get from law enforcement, all those Islamic communities, we never hear from them. There's never a problem. No, there's never a problem because they've been governing themselves and having their own courts in there. So you can't have a parallel legal system in the United States of America.
How do you get a hold of your movie? How do you tell people to see your movie?
You just go to rememberthealamomovie.com, rememberthealamomovie.com, and you can watch the movie. And here's what we put in this, because we want, there's so many influencers out there that, having a hard time keeping the lights on, or just regular people getting the word out, is the film was $20 to see. But if you watch the movie, if you buy it, and then you tell your friends to go buy it, you just give them your code and you get $10 a movie. So you're actually making more money than anybody else every time they see the movie. And as for you, I think my team should have sent you a free press screener. If not, Vic, just text me and I will send you that. You can watch that.
Pretty sure I think they did, but
Watch.
We'll see.
It's 2 hours and 10 minutes. Some of it's really tough to watch. When you see Nigeria, when you see the genocide that's happening down there and how Christians are being butchered,
Yeah.
when you see what Lara Logan and her husband Joe went through with this gang rape, she's so lucky to be alive. It's a miracle she's still alive.
Yeah, that happened during the Arab Spring.
Yep.
And speaking of nexus between the left and Islam, that was a product of Victoria Nuland, probably, or somebody of her ilk at the State Department.
Well, and we could do a whole show on Victoria Nuland. You look at the color revolution that the Obama administration, supported and got started in Egypt. You look at what happened in 2014. You've seen my movies about J6, where we proved that the color revolution in Ukraine, where they put the Nazis in power, was a dress rehearsal for January 6th, and having the same architects and the same players, the same strategy.
Yeah, you can see it now that you know what it looks like. You can't unsee it. They're going to have to come up with a new rule book, but so we're fooled the next time. It's just pretty ridiculous. Thank you so much, Chris Burgard. Really appreciate you coming on, and I bet my best to you to keep speaking the truth. Some people, this woman goes, such sad people.
Well, listen, do me a favor.
Truth
Give me
hurts.
give me a call after you see the movie, because I know you're going to have questions. And I got to tell you, the response, they are censoring us so hard. I think we have 2,000 views in that cartoon. Should be tens of millions. And you see the hit pieces that are coming in. So we're on tour. And I thought we would just do Texas. But like I said, I just got back from New York. We did 2 events there. They want us back in Manhattan. We just were in central Illinois, where they're trying to build an Islamic city out there. People are standing up. And this film gives them the tools they need and the permission to stand up and say, no, I don't want the United States of America to become an Islamic state. By 2040, Islam is going to be the second biggest religion in the United States. Okay, we are headed down that path. When you see Nigeria and you see what's going on in Nigeria, only difference between Nigeria and Texas is the Second Amendment.
I mean, I'm a protector of the First Amendment. I believe that people should be able to say and enact their own religions, but not when it's completely antithetical to our constitutional way of living. And I wonder if they'd actually be found guilty of a jury for being a religion. That might be an interesting thought.
Well,
process.
that's again, you're so over the target, Victoria. What we need is a case that sets precedent, proving that Islam isn't a religion, it's a civilization. You're going to see in the movie, don't take Victoria's word for it, don't take my word for it. You're going to see imams and scholars in the movie saying in their own words that it's a civilization and that Sharia will be in every household in America. You're also going to see, like I said, they hung up on me when I tried to go see the leaders of the mosque down here. They called the cops on me, even though we had 5 emails back and forth to set up the interview with Imam Bashir at the Epic Center. I get there and they call 911, and we have the 911 phone call in the movie. They call in, and eight. I don't know if we ended up with 8. There were 6 while we were filming. They may have brought in 2 more, but they closed off the entire road because of me. Because they were worried that I was a terrorist threat. And here on the 911 call, it goes, there's 2 white guys in cowboy hats on the sidewalk. One has a gun in a holster. I had been interviewing a congressional candidate. He had a gun in his holster. He was on the sidewalk. He never came on the property. But this is Texas. Everybody carries guns.
Everybody carries. Yeah.
It used to be people wore cowboy hats, but now you're calling 911 because people are in cowboy hats on the sidewalk. I mean, it's a clash of civilizations. That's all I can say.
Using our laws against us. Thank you so much, Chris Burgard. Sure appreciate it.
God
Take care.
See you.
Thank you. God bless you. Godspeed, too. Well, what do you think? We've got some people who are, some trolls, not necessarily release the Epstein files. Oh, okay. What, 3 million documents weren't good enough for you, fella? Huh? A couple of things. Now, remember, Tuesday we talked about, I was trying to buck you up because I told you some really tough things on Tuesday, and it was just another look at the Biden tapes, the Fauci diary situation. And of course, yesterday, Fauci was on Capitol Hill not answering questions. Now, you know most of what happened if you paid any attention to the news, even if you didn't try to find out what was going on. It was hard. It was a hard story to miss. Well, I would say that, well, if you were looking, let me see something here. I'm going to find something here. Hold on. It would be a hard story to miss if you were watching, I guess, more conservative, mainstream, some mainstreams, but entities. This is so funny. Sorry, guys. I totally, this is just on a whim that I'm doing this. Come on, we can find it. Damn. Here we go. Oh, I've had all the headlines from today about, here we go. There we go. Today's headlines. Let's show it to you now. Today's headlines, front pages. This is a front page website, and I go to it, use it every once in a while, see what's going on. These are the big time newspapers still remaining in circulation and how they treated the Fauci story from yesterday. Here's USA Today, as you can see. Fauci dodges questions on COVID. Okay, that at least showed up above the fold, right? Yes, I'm not going to, I already have that. New York Times. Here we have the New York Times. Oh, why are you doing this to me? Oh, never mind. I'm just going to go back and just do the small version of it. And come on, you can do it. So New York Times has the Fauci stuff above the fold. LA Times, not so much. It's just, and on it goes. It's just one of those situations where every once in a while you want to have a snapshot of what's going on in the news. And here are some of the things you didn't see in the news about what happened at the hearing yesterday. You heard... No, I understand, Mr. Blitzkrieg. If someone is using our own laws against us, they should. No, I understand that. The laws are there to be made. The case is there to be made. And Chris Burgard, has the opportunity, indeed the responsibility, to explain what that means. So, see? No hate, right? So yesterday, during the Fauci hearing, the man who was who was very important to the issue of shutdowns, bad information, bad intel, and other things. There were other people with him. President Trump tried, hey, let's get that vaccine going. You said it's going to be so great. Well, all of these things, of course, came to pass during discussions of them, came to pass yesterday on Capitol Hill. And here are some of the things that you didn't see. Here is Senator Kim. He's a Democrat, formerly of the State Department, of course. And he is lauding Anthony Fauci, the man who brought a book full of lies. Have you ever read the RFK book? I listened to it on audio. And I'm not kidding. I came away from that book. I should go listen to it again. When I was done with that book, I wanted to arrest Anthony Fauci. And that wasn't just for the COVID stuff. It was for the AIDS stuff. He killed a lot of people, treating AIDS. Same playbook in so many ways. But here's this Democrat, and he's talking about what a wonderful man that Anthony Fauci is. Anthony Fauci took the fifth 111 times, but you know that. And here we go. An explainer on why Anthony Fauci was actually not allowed to take the fifth, believe it or not, because he already received a pardon. Josh Hawley will explain that to you after we hear the end of this tribute to Anthony Fauci by Senator Kim.
And in the words of Teddy Roosevelt saying, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs but comes short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumphs of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly.
Yeah, so that was one of them. Yeah, he was actually mocked later.
Dr. Fauci.
No, I don't want to talk. I don't want you to get on there yet, Rand Paul. So after the big tribute, we had Josh Hawley show up, and it was, I'm going to play for you almost the whole thing. It's over 8 minutes long. We're going to do it in pieces, and let us do this.
Multiple federal employees. What was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
It was a $900,000 cash award. $900,000 cash award.
Yeah, I want to play this one first because I still want to hear the end of the man in the arena.
Old and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Thank you for your service, Dr. Fauci. I yield back.
Senator Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
This person. I had COVID for 5 weeks and was thrilled to take the vaccine. If you had COVID for 5 weeks, you had immunity to the disease, right? Or we were lied to about that as well.
Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc?
This is pretty sneering.
What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color's the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs, they know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic, you got rich, didn't you? You got rich. While people were dying, hundreds of thousands of Americans, over 1 million in the end, and you were getting rich. And not only were you doing that, you were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million. You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Okay, so that is the first part of the Josh Hawley thing. And here's his, that was the, what do they say, shot. Here's the chaser.
And he got it because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. Here they are over my shoulder. Besides the Dan David Award, you've got the Partnership for Public Service, you've got the Adelson Prize, you've got the Smithsonian Award, you've got the National Academy of Medicine's Award, you've got the CDC Foundation. In fact, you turned your staff into a full-time application machine. You actually wrote to people and said, do you think maybe I'd qualify? And you got cash for all of this. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 employees, was it? In fact, you used 8 separate federal employees on federal time using federal resources to solicit cash awards. Isn't that true?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Here they are right over my shoulder. Here's all of them. The people that you use, federal employees, so that you could go and get cash money. And the most hilarious part is that you weren't content to even dragoon them into applying for all of these cash awards. You then had them go out to the ethics agencies and ethics watchdogs and demand that you be able to get the money. That's right. We've got it in your emails. Your staff and employees on federal time, using federal resources, being paid with federal dollars, are soliciting cash for you. And then they're turning around and saying to the agency, we don't want just an answer. We want to get to yes, because Fauci wants the money. He wants it. We want to get to yes, and yes takes time. This is your chief of staff again, using federal email to pressure the agency's own ethics people so that you could get money, so that you could get rich. And it violated the law, didn't it, Dr. Fauci? Didn't it? It violated the law, didn't it?
Even though I'm super busy.
So that was a tour de force by Josh Hawley. They actually did a pretty good job, the Republicans did. Not that there were very many Democrats coming, but they did a good job of deciding who's going to take what aspect of the case. Of course, Rand Paul went with the problems with the Wuhan lab, as well as other kinds of gains of function problems. Here is this just completely, I went, what? What's going on here? Listen to this question. Listen to this question. Listen. Here we go.
Dr. Fauci, were you ever made aware of gain-of-function research on monkeypox being conducted at the National Biodefense Analysis and Countermeasure Center and back at Fort Detrick?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Dr. Fauci, did the CIA ever transfer funds to NIH under an interagency agreement?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Questions. Dr. Fauci, did the NIH ever conduct research for or in coordination with any element of the intelligence community, CIA, ODNI?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights.
Yeah. 111 times. Okay. The reason those things are so important is because it sounds like Rand Paul has some information about monkeypox escaping from a lab. And I looked that up, and is there any truth to this, whatever. No proof, don't know that, but that's because Rand Paul appears to know more than AI right now. Nobody's picked up on that. Like, what the actual happened here? Because remember now, we had a bunch of people come down with monkeypox. They were terrified of monkeypox, right? And it was just something that was achievable through gay sex, right? And so this kind of makes me wonder about AIDS too. Doesn't it make you wonder? Oh, because it did start in Africa, but a lot of things start in Africa because we do stuff in Africa. Anyway, bad, really frightening. Here's Rand Paul talking to Dr. Fauci about a couple of things that Rand Paul does, and he accidentally calls him Dr. Fauci. He did that twice.
You ever made aware of gain-of-function research on monkeypox?
Oh, that was the other one. Yeah, there you go. See, well, at least I was able to affirm for you that he actually said that. Here we go.
To the Constitution.
What is going on here? I have no idea. I apologize for that. Let me just get my act together here. Here we go.
Your testimony today is compelled
Dr.
by a lawful
Fauci.
subpoena. As you know, it's a crime under 18 U.S.C. Section 1001 to knowingly make a material false statement to Congress. with a penalty up to 5 years of imprisonment. Understanding that you are under oath, the American people would like to understand your reasoning, your rationale for why you chose to fund the research in Wuhan. There have been, intelligence agencies, the CIA, the FBI, the DOE, have all come to the conclusion that more likely than not, the virus came from the lab in Wuhan. And so we'd like to know what was the rationale, what was the discussion, how, what went behind the decision to fund the research in Wuhan? How did you come to the conclusion that a totalitarian country would be capable of doing this in a BSL-2 lab, a lab that lacked the security? What was the reasoning? And are you sorry, basically, for making the decision? Would you, given another chance, say, well, gosh, circumstances now, as I know it, maybe it wasn't a wise thing. Can you explain to the committee why you chose to fund this dangerous research in China?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Yeah, okay. We get it. 111 times. Rand Paul was, aside from calling him Dr. Fauci twice. Come on, man. That's funny. But only if you're on one side of the political aisle. Anyway, here is Bernie Moreno, who's an Ohio senator, and this went scorched earth. I'm doing this like on the, I'm doing it. I don't know. We'll probably get one of those stupid commercials from C-SPAN, but here we go. Let me find out if you can see it in just a second, and I will make sure that this one, you couldn't show this because it had potty talk in it. And so I'm going to play it for you because it was so incredibly powerful. So let's go.
With her own family outside. When that story broke, I said to myself, I cannot stand idly on the side and watch this happen. It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people. I will make it my mission to make certain that every single one of those Democrats who did that will see that clip over and over and over again.
Dr. Fauci was caught with his pants down in, not really, but not literally, with his diary. And his diary, of course, he's talking about talking to people sotto voce in his emails, which Tulsi Gabbard released earlier this year and which are not online right now. Let me just double check and see. I will play for you what Tulsi Gabbard retweeted today and what she said about the Fauci hearing today. Former DNI, former congressional representative from Hawaii. She's Democrat, and she was in the Trump administration, the only person who would ever put people of the opposite party in his administration. So here we go. I'm going to see if I can find. Okay, we've got this. Let's see. Let me play for you first, Tulsi Gabbard, and then I'm going to go back and see if these supporting email documents that she released in June before she left are available. I don't think they are.
Head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, work which is now widely viewed as the source of the unintentional lab leak that sparked the pandemic. Now, in support of President Trump's maximum transparency mandate, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives. Now, these documents expose Fauci's direct role in influencing and manipulating IC assessments on COVID-19 and how Fauci lied to Congress in 2024 when under oath he denied knowledge of or participation in discussions with intelligence officials about viral research. We also received testimony from multiple intelligence community whistleblowers who reported retaliation for challenging the intelligence community's manipulation of intelligence on the virus's origins, once again revealing a clear pattern of suppressing dissent, silencing critics, and burying the truth. Dr. Fauci's close relationships with the intelligence community enabled him to assume three key roles that shield him from scrutiny. First, Dr. Fauci funded dangerous gain-of-function coronavirus research linked to big pharma and their pursuit of universal vaccines.
Yeah, I want you to hear that. I want you to hear that again. They want it sounds like the documents prove that they wanted a universal vaccine. Can you imagine all the crap you'd have to put in that? Can you imagine putting that in a 3-month-old baby? It just drives me crazy. That's insane. I'm going to play that again, just that part of it.
Trillions of dollars.
Oh, nuts. Okay, here we go.
For challenging the intelligence community's manipulation of intelligence on the virus's origins, once again revealing a clear pattern of suppressing dissent, silencing critics, and burying the truth. Dr. Fauci's close relationships with the intelligence community enabled him to assume three key roles that shield him from scrutiny. First, Dr. Fauci funded dangerous gain-of-function coronavirus research linked to big pharma and their pursuit of universal vaccines worth trillions of dollars. Second, Dr. Fauci was the behind-the-scenes advisor who, alongside his hand-picked so-called experts, pushed the intelligence community to endorse a natural animal origin to hide his dangerous gain-of-function research that...
Now, all of you folks in the comment section and others watching and others who will watch after we make sure this gets out on all the platforms, I just want you to know that your superstar, Saint Anthony Fauci, lied to you, lied about masks, lied about the 6-foot thing, lied that I didn't shut anything down when he was on the phone to Gavin Newsom, the governor overseeing the response to COVID, by ordering people, LA County, to bust a guy who was on his paddleboard in the ocean, who ordered churches not to allow singing in worship. Come on, man. That's just absurd. But Anthony Fauci was behind the scenes training these people into what to do, talking to these people. This is what I would do. I don't remember if you remember the LA County health director, who was not a doctor, ordering people to, put on masks, go inside, sit down at the table, take your mask off. There's a soundbite out there of Governor Newsom telling people to put your mask on in the restaurant, take it off, take your bite, and then put it back on. Come on, you guys. By the time that he was advising, and Dr. Deborah Birx, who initially, she was the one that was supposedly in charge, got to President Trump and said, this is a terrible thing, obviously, cramming seniors into their retirement centers and putting in people with coronavirus, not that they knew initially, and then them passing it back and forth. Well, who's the most vulnerable? The old and the sick. What did they do? Crammed people, the old and the sick, in New York and Washington State. This is the horribleness of this disease did not have to manifest itself, but furthermore, something that we all learned along the way as well from Dr. Scott Atlas, who was belittled, who actually is an infectious disease expert. That's what he does at Stanford. You do not vaccinate into a pandemic. It doesn't work. It doesn't get rid. What you want to do is have it go through the populace as quickly as possible and keep the people who are most vulnerable. Those are the people you keep separated out of, reach. It's ridiculous. All of the lies. And anybody who defends Anthony Fauci now, you've lost your minds. You have just completely come untethered. This guy was the point of Josh Hawley and his questioning was just to explain to the American people, this guy was out enriching himself personally during the pandemic. I'm not saying you shouldn't get paid for your gig. He was the highest paid federal employee. Let me repeat that. Anthony Fauci was the highest paid federal employee. Pretty amazing. And he has the highest pension of any former federal employee. I don't begrudge somebody making a living. What I do, and this is Josh Hawley's point, you were using federal employees illegally, unethically, to go and grub for money for you. That's a bad act. That is not somebody who really cares. Anyway, Tulsi Gabbard continues.
He funded, using taxpayer dollars, all of this in a deliberate attempt to cover up the truth and shift the blame and attention away from Fauci's own actions. Third, Dr. Fauci became the nation's pandemic pundit, and he publicly pushed lies, disinformation, and censorship using every platform available. Now, according to hundreds of reviewed emails, which are included in this release, the intelligence community almost always incorporated Fauci's recommendations. He promoted a fraudulent paper whose publication he helped prompt as legitimate information for intelligence community consideration. Senior analysts praised Dr. Fauci not as a policymaker, but as what they called an unbiased guide to the real coronavirus experts, while deliberately ignoring experts who might dissent from Fauci's narratives. Now, Fauci didn't stop.
May I just put into frame of reference for those people who are saying, well, Trump doesn't care about people. He didn't kill people, did he?
On my final...
Here we go.
Away from Fauci's own actions. Third, Dr. Fauci became the nation's pandemic pundit, and he publicly pushed lies, disinformation, and censorship using every platform available. Now, according to hundreds of reviewed emails, which are included in this release, the intelligence community almost always incorporated Fauci's recommendations. He promoted a fraudulent paper whose publication he helped prompt as legitimate information for intelligence community consideration. Senior analysts praised Dr. Fauci not as a policymaker, but as what they called an unbiased guide to the real coronavirus experts, while deliberately ignoring experts who might dissent from Fauci's narratives. Now, Fauci didn't stop there. He blatantly lied to Congress under oath during his 2024 testimony to the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, denying that he ever spoke to any intelligence agency about COVID. Now,
so we've got self-dealing, dragooning, as that's the word. I always forget that word. I love that word. Dragooning federal employees to grub for more money for Anthony Fauci. 8 employees were put at the service of Anthony Fauci to get him money. I mean, that's just weird. I mean, is that really your top priority? Oh, yeah. Posing, as Josh Hawley said, posing for InStyle magazine when people were dying. Okay, we understand that sometimes stuff like that happens. It's just a bad look. So you have that. You have him shaping the Intel Committee task force report. I guess it was an interagency report. And whistleblowers came out later saying that he is the one who shaped the report. And as in repayment for shaping the report or being very malleable in the it's not a lab leak theory that they lied about. Anthony Fauci made sure that I think it was the CIA got a special was it billion or million? Probably $1 million spiff. You might be able to massage a couple of those, maybe. I mean, maybe. No, I don't think yet. Go read RFK's book. I just tried to avoid RFK as much as possible. I do not like his lawfare in favor of the environmental crazy stuff that he has been in favor of in the years past. The river keepers and all that stuff, been using his creds to make impossible demands upon people whom they characterize as polluters and that sort of thing. It's a scam as far as that's what I'm concerned about. Then I read his book and I thought, Fauci needs to go to jail, man. And if nothing else, it's for what he did. What he did during AIDS. It was just insane. Is it AZT? Oof. Go read about that. Let's hear more from Tulsi.
Correspondence I'm releasing today directly contradicts his sworn testimony. Now, we received statements from multiple whistleblowers revealing that the intelligence analysts who dared to challenge Dr. Fauci's COVID origin conclusions faced threats of retaliation, marginalization, and many suffered career setbacks. For example, a contractor was terminated just days after coming forward to ODNI as a whistleblower. Another example, those who advocated for the lab leak hypothesis or expressed dissenting views were reminded by their managers that leadership would determine which analysts would be promoted and which would not. The message was clear: go along or be punished. Senior leaders also sought to undermine whistleblowers by removing anonymity, which is required in the whistleblower process, as they made their complaints, and also insisting that their managers or attorneys be present during ODNI meetings where these whistleblowers were coming forward with their testimony, obviously creating an atmosphere of intimidation. The COVID pandemic caused tremendous hardship and pain for millions of our fellow Americans and countless people around the world. Now, after years of lies and censorship and cover-ups, the American people deserve transparency, truth, and accountability. The tactics that were used to hide the truth are straight from the deep state playbook. Politicized self-serving leaders like Dr. Fauci covered up their own wrongdoing and abuses of power, manipulated intelligence, lied to Congress, and undermined a duly elected president by restricting his access to the vital facts he needed to keep the country safe. It's time you know the truth.
Oh, and she just let that bad boy go on the way out the door. Thanks, Tulsi. Yeah, love you, mean it. Miss her. Good God, I do. I miss her. I think maybe she got her job done, but they're deconstructing, I think, to the extent they can, the ODNI, Department of National Intelligence, because remember Sam Faddis? I think it was Sam who said this. God bless him and may he rest in peace. Said that the people who work for the Office of National Intelligence actually are tasked from other places. And so therefore they are just sort of borrowed over at ODNI. So it was sort of like, it was not hard necessarily to let some of these people go because most of them worked elsewhere, if you know what I mean. So that's one thing to bear in mind when you hear about they fired 30% of the workforce, and I'm sure some people did get fired. And I think that might just be going the way of the Department of Education. Okay, so Tulsi said, let's see, make sure. Victoria. Here we go. This is absurd. Anyway, Tulsi said that watching Fauci in Wednesday's testimony made me sick, is what she said. And then she tweeted out this part of the Office of Director of National Intelligence, this report. And this report is Fauci funded Wuhan lab research that sparked COVID. New evidence Fauci manipulated intelligence and lied to Congress. You can go to jail for any number of those. Okay, you can, and that's why he's been lying the whole time. By the way, before COVID-19 pandemic, Anthony Fauci, as the head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, provided millions of U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, work which is now widely viewed as the source of the unintentional lab leak that sparked the pandemic. Today, the National Intelligence Director, Tulsi Gabbard, released never-before-seen communications and documents exposing how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus lab leak origins, and the role in directing the U.S. funding for this dangerous research. You can view the communication documents here. So I go over here, and I'm going to share this one. And it's got the 5 tranches of info. It's got an index. Now watch this. Oh, the index is back. Ah, hot dog. Okay, so look, watch this. Maybe this is coming back then. Here is one of the tranches. Oh, I just do that in real time. This is awesome. Oh, awesome. Okay, so the release index is there. Release part 1. Here we. Oh, good God! What happened? I guess maybe they were just hammering this website. China, conditions present for the laboratory modification and release of human-adopted coronavirus in Wuhan in late 2019. So this is an actual government document from the Lawrence Livermore Lab. We'll go over them. I couldn't find them, so I didn't think we'd have to go over them today. So. My browser has lost connection to my screen share. Is that true? I hope not. Be that as it may, I am going to go take off now. I bring you peace. Look, we can have differences of opinion, and you can look at the same fact pattern that I do, and you may be able to see something different. If you do, please let me know in the manner Victoria@victoriataft.com. Let me know. But I've seen this rodeo before, not necessarily with the health department crap, but in other ways that we've been lied to before. That's why I said Tuesday, don't get black-pilled. Don't get black-pilled. We've got a country to save. Transparency is the best thing. Daylight is the best disinfectant. Thomas Jefferson said it. Was it Thomas Jefferson? Hold on. No, it's not. Whatever. One of our founding fathers. Yeah, they were fathers, and they were married to women who were badass in their own right. So there you go. I will have a wonderful day. Coconuts? Yeah. RFK is the idiot, not Fauci. Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Sometimes he goes off on flyers, not going to lie. Fauci does too, and then he lies about it. I'll see you back here. I will be posting videos next week, but I will not be doing lives next week because there are a variety of things. I've got radio duty to do, and I can't say no, frankly. I mean, I can't do both at the same time. There's no way. So, but I will be providing videos on certain subject matter that I think you will definitely want to see. If you liked this program, please subscribe. And get notifications, hit the notification button, because we rely on growing our audience so that we can get bigger and keep going. That's right. We want to keep going. Have a great week. And I'll see you back here on the channel over the next few days. Bye. Thank you so much for watching and listening to this episode of the Adult in the Room podcast. We do not take you for granted. We appreciate every single person who tunes in every week to listen and watch this program. We're here every Tuesday and Thursday, live streaming on Rumble, and then on every other podcast platform shortly thereafter, when we can port it over and get it over there as soon as we can. All the shows can be found at victoriataft.com, where the censorship regime has been banned by me. Follow me on social media at these names: Victoria Taft, the Adult in the Room podcast, and the Victoria Taft Show. Send media inquiries, or any others for that matter, to victoria@victoriataft.com. And here's a big ask. Would you please subscribe, share, like, comment, recommend, and give this program a 5-star rating where you can? We really appreciate it. We do not take that for granted either. Follow my work at, you guessed it, victoriataft.com. PJ Media, I write tons over there. Flamingo Audiobooks, and of course the radio. I don't do this alone. This show is produced and engineered by Overall Media. 1A Cast is responsible for some of the Adult in the Room podcast's imaging. Logo design by Hageman Creative. The Adult in the Room podcast is produced at Flamingo Road Studios. All rights reserved.